of digits, let's try arranging people. Say we have 5 people and we have just 3 chairs. The chairs are placed in a row or in a straight line. 5 people and 3 chairs. With this situation, in how many ways do you think can these chairs be occupied? Now if you've gone through our previous sessions on forming numbers, you should quickly realize that this problem is not too different. 5 people is analogous to 5 different digits, and 3 chairs are analogous to the 3 slots for the 3-digit number we had to form, correct? If you remember, we were given 5 digits and asked for the number of 3-digit numbers we can form. Here we have been given 5 people and have been asked for the number of ways in which we can arrange any 3 of them on these 3 chairs. It's exactly the same, just that they have used chairs and people instead of numbers and digits. So assume that these 3 chairs are like 3 slots. In how many ways can we fill the first slot? Understand the question well. If we have 5 people and all 3 chairs are empty, in how many ways can the first chair be occupied? It's logic. Any one of the 5 people can be seated on this chair. It's obvious. The chair can be occupied in 5 ways. So out of the 5 people, 1 person is seated on the first chair now. Now 1 person having taken the seat, in how many ways can the second chair be occupied? 1 person is seated here. It means 1 of the 5 people is seated on the first chair. And any one of the remaining 4 can be seated on the second. Once the first chair is occupied, the second chair can be filled in 4 ways. You should be able to answer the next question. Assuming 1 person is seated on the first chair and another on the second, in how many ways can the third chair be occupied? It's easy. 2 out of the 5 are seated on the first 2 chairs. Only 3 remain. If 1 person is seated on the first chair and another on the second, then the third chair can be occupied by any one of the remaining 3 people. 3 ways. In our first session based on permutations and combinations, we discussed the 2 important rules of counting. And is multiplication or is addition? So do we multiply these or add them? To know the answer, just read out what you have solved. Will it be filling the first or the second or the third chair? Or will it be filling the first and the second and the third chair? Of course, it will be and. We need to look at the ways in which all 3 chairs are occupied. So we multiply these ways. And we get the answer as 60 ways. If there are 5 people, then there are 60 ways in which these 3 chairs can be occupied. Let me modify the question a bit. This time, we have 5 people and we have been provided with 5 chairs. Again, the chairs are in a row. In how many ways can the chairs be occupied? What does this mean? In simple words, the question is asking us for all possible arrangements of 5 people on these 5 chairs. Again, let's take these 5 chairs as 5 slots. And using our usual technique, let's go slot by slot. In how many ways can the first chair be occupied? Any one of the 5 people can be seated on the first chair. So there are 5 different ways in which the first chair can be occupied. Understand the situation now. One of these 5 is seated on the first chair. Once this has happened, in how many ways can the second chair be occupied? As there are 4 people remaining, one of those 4 can be seated on the second chair. The second chair can be occupied in 4 ways. Once these 2 chairs are occupied, the third one can be occupied in 3 ways. And similarly, 2 ways for the 4th chair and just 1 person remains for the 5th one. 1 way in which the 5th chair can be occupied if 4 people are seated in the initial 4. And to get the answer, we multiply these ways. 5 times 4 is 20, 20 times 3 is 60, and 60 times 2 is 120. 120 ways is the answer. 120 ways in which 5 people can occupy 5 chairs. This is also equal to 5 factorial. Now books would ask you to memorize this. arranging 5 people on 5 chairs as 5 factorial, or n people on n chairs as n factorial. But don't memorize this. You have to understand how we arrived at a 5 factorial. After watching this video, I am sure you've understood why. But if this video was a little too fast for you, please go through it again as many questions are built around this concept.